Hello everybody, just as a quick disclaimer before we start the video, just want to let you know that in this we're going to be mentioning they as the free-to-play gang quite a lot, as opposed to the people who are paying for the multiplayer and single-player experiences. It's going to sound a bit ranty at times. That is not a frustration at the free-to-play people, that is a frustration at the developers' approach to how they handle people who pay for their premium products, being the multiplayer and single player. Just bear that in mind, guys. Not a dig at you free-to-play guys, it's a dig at the developer's attitude towards people who do pay for the full game. Thanks. Bollocks, I haven't put these on yet. Shouldn't have looked right at them. Fuck me. Oh, I feel like having a rant today. Should we have a rant today? Hello everybody, you know who I am, and if you don't, you probably don't give a flying hoot. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about the paying customers experience of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2022. And I'm making this video for a fair few reasons, of which I will get involved with. But the main things that you need to know about today is that we're going to be talking about the lack of content. We're going to be talking about the fact that free-to-play guys get pretty much everything that the paying customers do anyway, minus obviously the multiplayer game modes and single player and that. We're also going to talk about the fact that I feel like a mug for buying the game, now that we're like well into 2023 now. And also skill-based matchmaking. It wouldn't be a Call of Duty moan video if it didn't involve skill-based matchmaking, right? But there is actually some relevance to that in the paying customer section, and we will talk about that as we go. Now, there is a few things that I do just want to kind of disclaim, if you will, and that is I enjoy playing Call of Duty. I enjoy COD, I enjoy Modern Warfare 2. It is flawed, it is not perfect. However, I still enjoy it. It's just not my main game these days. I do play Apex, I do play other things. I don't load up the computer and think, Call of Duty, let's play it. That I probably used to do, even as long as like the last Modern Warfare game, you know? So, bit of a shame, but whatever. Another little disclaimer as well, that everything that I'm about to say in this video is from the point of view of the paying customer. And when I say paying customer, I mean someone who bought single player and multiplayer. But with that being said, let's get pretty much right into it. The first one I want to talk about is lack of content. Now, when I talk about lack of content, I mean that it feels like there is more new content being made for the free-to-play guys than there is the paying customer guys. And I find this really frustrating. Obviously, I paid for the game, so I feel as if I have an entitlement to be prioritized. I don't think that's a bit too far-fetched. Now, I do understand that not everyone can afford the game and all this stuff, and yeah, that's absolutely fine. But there's got to be some value in purchasing the game. Otherwise, you might as well just make the whole experience free-to-play. Now, another frustration of mine is that all the maps that we seem to be getting, minus probably Season 3, it's all recycled shit. And it's maps that have come from other games, they're either just reskinned from other games. You've got Shipment, which comes back. Yay, shoot the ship game. What's it called? Ship House? That was from the old game. It's like, come on guys, give us new maps. And I feel as if the new maps that we do get are quite small and very, very not well thought out. I remember one in, I think it was at Season 2, where they give us a map that was just from the beta. Come on guys, it's lazy and we've got no time for it. Another thing as well is that they've put out nighttime maps. Great, we'll just turn all the lights off so you can't even focus on the textures or whatever. That's freaking brilliant. Another little disclaimer though is that ranked has helped with the lack of content. I don't personally play ranked. I'm not really massive into search and destroy game modes, which it's heavily based off. But yeah, it just feels like there's not that much content in it, and I find that really frustrating. And then, of course, there's just the usual game modes as well. So yes, you do have ranked, but at the same time, there's just seems like there's that much going on, where there's always game mode changes going on in the free-to-play game. So here's some things that the free-to-play guys get. Now, I appreciate this is going to get me a lot of hate. I do not say everything I'm about to say because I hate the free-to-play guys. Absolutely not. They're a massive part of the community, and I just want to emphasize that. Without those, there would be essentially no YouTube channel. There would essentially be not that many people playing the game, and just want to get that out there. One thing that it is more of a frustrations on how Call of Duty Activision treat the paying customer. And there's a constant rotation of game modes for the free-to-play guys. Granted, it's not game modes that people want to play, but it's still a rotation of game modes. Now there is frustrations in that as well. There never seems to be the game mode that you want to play. You want to play trios, unlucky, you got to play quads. You want to play duos, unlucky, you got to play trios. Like, I do appreciate that it is not ideal. Relatively speaking, the free-to-play guys get much bigger maps as well. The creation of Arasaka Island. Obviously, you've got the whole Warzone map, which they've developed from scratch. Like, all of this is a lot more development time, a lot more resource, which could have went into improving the lackluster multiplayer maps in, well, multiplayer. Another thing that the free-to-play guys get as well is access to the exact same battle pass. Now, this is problematic for me personally, because of the fact that they can unlock all the same stuff as you. Now, don't get me wrong, there should be incentives for the free-to-play guys to keep on playing the games. However, it would be nice if, you know, we got some additional stuff for being a purchaser of the game. I'm not saying that we need to like, I'm not saying like guns or anything like that, but you know, it's like the odd cosmetic or two, which is only available if you bought the game. That would be nice. And also as well is that this one kind of obviously makes sense, but they also, free-to-play guys also have access to the same store. It would be nice if we could even buy stuff that was different to the free-to-play guys. So you get access to a different store, which makes skins a bit cheaper or something like that. There's just not enough incentive to buy the game as it stands. And because of that, I am going to go on to the next point, which is I feel like a bit of a mug having purchased the game. And that is because the free-to-play guys pretty much get everything that I have access to, minus multiplayer. And it's just a bit annoying. So a good example of this, right, is anti-cheat Ricochet. Now, my problem with this is that this was designed for free-to-play, and rightly so. Now, I completely understand because Warzone had a massive issue with hacking, and not many people hacked on multiplayer purely because you had to pay for that account. And people don't want to pay for an account every time they want to jump on and get hacking. Not very cost effective for the hackers or the people hacking, is it? Now, this is also a little bit of a problem for me though, is because no one was hacking in multiplayer, really. All of that development time, all of that resource, which I will argue should have been getting put into multiplayer, which is getting put into the free-to-play game mode, which was, you know, it's why I feel like a bit of a mug, because they clearly want to put more focus and energy into that. Now, like I say again, there's nothing wrong with being a free-to-play player. I mean, from the developer's point of view, I've got nothing for it, which is annoying. Now, all of this resource has been taken away from multiplayer, and that is annoying. But not as annoying as my next point, and that is the fact that guns and perks are balanced to Warzone, and it always has been, always will be, and it leaves multiplayer, it has left multiplayer in sometimes struggling with some really wacky metas. Honestly, it's just been absolute insanity. And when you mix that with the fact that we're getting copy-paste maps from other games, it's like, come on, dude, that's just not ideal. Yeah, and it really bugs me, because let's talk about things like the marksman rifles, for example. Classic example. ABR was decent. The FAL in the original COD was really good for multiplayer. They nerfed the fuck out of them just so they could be a bit more friendly in Warzone. Like, yeah, it's just not fun. And I know people are gonna be like, well, it's slightly different stats with all the weapons. The main features of the weapons are changed across both game modes, and that's no fun for anybody. So essentially, it's very lazy, like from the developer's point of view, for the content that they're given the guys who purchase multiplayer, and that is annoying. Now, another thing that I do want to talk about as well is skill-based. Another thing that I want to talk about as well is skill-based matchmaking. Now, when you've got a massively populated player pool, like the free-to-play game modes are, you have an argument for saying that you do need skill-based matchmaking. I'm not saying I agree with it, I'm just saying I understand the thinking and the logic behind it. Now, multiplayer has got the exact same skill-based matchmaking, which is annoying because it's a much smaller player pool. It's a much smaller player pool, which means we're getting prioritized on skill and not connection, and not, like, you know, the things that matter, like location, the server, connection speed. we're getting matched on who's someone who's got my KD is. And that's annoying because that can be in a different country. And that's shit. Now, on free-to-play game modes, because you've got that vast of a player pool, you can usually get somewhat of a local connection, and it's not that much of an issue. Another reason why I feel like a bit of a mug for paying for the game is that I've essentially paid for skill-based matchmaking sweatfests, and it's only getting worse. Every single update, the skill-based matchmaking is even tougher to fight. It's even tougher to get good games out of. And the games that I do have a good game, it feels like it's the manufacturing of the system giving me those games and not because I actually played well, which is a bit of a shame. And this is all a massive reason why I am looking for the release of XDefiant, because there's no skill-based matchmaking and it's basically 6v6 from the original COD games, and it's just going to be focused on that aspect. So you never know, COD might be getting taken over very soon, or at least traditionally in the multiplayer aspect of it. Now, this is a very controversial video, guys, and I appreciate that you guys are going to have a lot to say. So say it in the comment section below. Remember, I love you guys, and remember, we also need to this is just from the paying customer's point of view, just from the people who bought the game. I'm not saying free-to-play people are a problem. I'm saying the developer's issue is the problem.